Hey there, scabby scummers and gangers. Crimson Oracle here with another episode of Dome Runners TV. This time I'm going to be talking about my experience at the Nova Open, which is, I believe, the largest gaming convention on the East Coast, and where I happen to host the Necromunda event. I am a longtime Nova veteran. I went to my first Nova in 2013. Before that, I had been pretty busy with graduate school, and even though I was doing a lot of 40K stuff, I just hadn't quite gotten up to the point where I would play in an event. But all of that changed in the release of 6th edition. I finally started getting into actually playing in events, and after really enjoying going to a bunch of local tournaments, I played in the GT in 2013, and it was a really fun experience. But of course, over time, I would drift away from Warhammer 40K, first drifting to narrative 40K, and then eventually out into skirmish gaming altogether. And that is how I happened to find myself taking over running the Necromunda event after 2019, when I actually only managed to play in one of the games as a drop in. The person who was running the event announced at the end of the last day that they were not going to be able to continue running it, and that is when I put my hat in the ring to run Necromunda, and I was the only one. So this event happened in large part because of me, and I am very proud of how it went. There are many things that can be improved or tweaked, but I am enormously proud of all of the terrain work and all of the logistic stuff that I put together to run the event. And I wanted to kind of go into a little bit of the event itself, show off some of the things that were played, show off some of the stuff that I put together, and of course, talk about the rest of the con and why I think Nova is so unique and awesome. Obviously, the fact that I'm one of the people who helps facilitate it makes me biased, but I'm allowed to be biased. This is my show after all. So this video is going to kind of just be a visual record of some of the stuff from Nova that I managed to capture, and me talking a little bit about the two events that I ran and the con itself, and kind of how the con was, and what I'm thinking about for the future, and of course the con moving to a new location and stuff like that. So I wanted to kind of leave this as like my first record on the topic. I'm going to be doing a podcast episode about Nova with some kind of recaps from people who actually went. So I am definitely going to be doing more on this topic in a slightly different format, but I wanted to kind of take the visuals of everything that I kind of gathered while I was there and kind of dump everything into a video. So it might be a little scattershot, but this is just kind of a record of the Nova Open as I experienced it, which obviously was heavily focused on the Necromunda and Inquisitor 28 events that I ran, because that is where I spent most of my weekend. So with that, the first thing I want to delve into is the Necromunda event that I ran at Nova. One of the fun parts of the Necromunda event this year is that I was right at the entrance to the con, which gave me the opportunity to really show off a lot of the kind of cool and weird stuff that make Necromunda so fun. That included me having my chainsword out for people to play with, and that included all of my terrain being some of the first things people would see when they were on their way into the hall to check out the 40K event. As you can see, I managed to make 12 different boards that all had very different themes and details that I thought would be fitting for a Necromunda campaign of the law and misrule variety. So I really wanted to present the full gamut of kind of environments that you might encounter in a hive, everything from a food court full of eateries to a hive forest that's overgrowing with junk, and even the sump bottom, as you can see here. So the missions for this event were based around some of my favorite GW missions with some minor changes to try to make things a little snappier. I managed to get a packet written, but there was kind of a hiccup where the packet was not printed and given to the players. This was a miscommunication that happened from the way the con ran previously. There was a change, and I missed the opportunity to have that get done. So next year, that is definitely something we are going to correct, as having the document is something that I think would definitely make things a little bit smoother for people. But overall, with how everyone has a cell phone these days, it was not absolutely necessary for everyone to have a printed document, so it didn't wind up being catastrophic, but it is something that I would like to improve on. The campaign itself was based on the Law and Misrule campaign, but of course when you're playing in a short kind of 4 games per day structure kind of event, you're not going to get a ton of the full range of experiences that a campaign like Law and Misrule will give you. So I think that overall, it would not be my recommendation to run Law and Misrule as a campaign in a day format. Just my personal takeaway from it. I think that the campaign itself, the campaign itself is not that important with the single day campaign, or even when you're spreading it across 3 days and 12 games. It's still not that much actual variety of the kind of the drama of the campaign. So I think going as simple as possible for your campaign a day is important, and I'm going to definitely take that to heart when I am kind of designing next year's campaign, because I of course will be doing all this again next year. So one of the things that I was definitely really happy with was allowing vehicles on some of the tables and offering the opportunity for everyone to play with vehicles at the last game every day. I think that forcing everyone to contend with taking vehicles is probably too much, especially with the variety of ways people want to play Necromunda. It doesn't necessarily suit everyone's taste. So making the vehicle elements of the game optional and doing kind of more of an introductory option at the end of the day was, I think, one of the better components of the campaign, as it allowed people who wanted to play with vehicles the opportunity to kind of do that without sort of imposing it on everyone as something that they have to deal with as part of their game. So I overall really liked that element of it. One area where I am considering making a change is that I kept the same schedule that the original organizer was using, which was 4 games of 2 hours each with a half an hour lunch break. This is not really like the best schedule for allowing people to actually get some lunch unless they brown bag it. The half an hour is just not enough time to get everyone fed. So I am considering dropping it to 3 games per day. I think that will be definitely more approachable for people, but I am going to survey the folks who played and kind of get a feel for how everyone feels about it before I make a final decision on that. But I definitely think that if playing 4 games in 8.5 hours is just not the most enjoyable experience in terms of the endurance involved, and so I think 3 games would be the way to do it. And I would consider doing it longer so that you have more time, but the problem with that is that people have other stuff that they want to do because it's a big convention and there's all kinds of things going on. So eating everyone's entire day with gaming is something I want to be more mindful of with the way I run it next year. So I am thinking of scaling it back to 3 games and kind of giving everyone a little bit of a break after after playing in the Necromunda campaign each day. And related, I wanted to shout out the fantastic folks who came out and played in the event. The terrain and the rules and all of that stuff is just sort of the gateway into the game. You guys are what makes it fun, and I just could not be happier with how it turned out. We had just such a wonderful, friendly, helpful, considerate group of people come out, and I just feel like, the key to making a narrative game like Necromunda fun is the right people, and we absolutely had, the best crew I could have possibly hoped for come out this weekend for it, and I thank you all so much. You guys really made it a blast to run this event, and I'm really looking forward to next year. Related, next year, one of the things I want to do, because the convention is moving to a larger space, I really want to try to expand a little bit to offer more stuff. So specifically, I would like to offer people the ability to try Necromunda when they see it and find it interesting, because one of the things that I got to do as the person who was kind of sitting at the front of the con was talk to all these people who had heard of Necromunda, who hadn't heard of Necromunda, who thought that the models looked really enticing and interesting, and I was just excited to talk to all of these people. But the ability to actually engage them in a demo, or to get them to sort of try the game, would be, I think, a huge feather in our cap and help spread Necromunda to more people, because I think that the real joy of the game comes out when you actually get a chance to roll dice. Although, of course, everyone approaches the game differently, and a lot of people enjoy different things about it. So, I can't speak for everyone. But one thing I really want to do is more of a drop-in style event where you play a single character and you can spend like 500 credits on their upgrades or something like that, and give them, get them all beefed up and take them up a spiral tower. And each level you get to is a new wave of enemies. And the idea would be that the person who gets the highest in the tower every day would win some kind of prize. That is something that I'm already working on. The spiral tower is behind me. I'm using the spools that I have been printing on recently, which, unlike the hatchbox spools that I used to make my other spool terrain, have these holes that are perfect for running a ladder between the spools, and that allows me to kind of create this, this sort of platformer almost environment. So I'm really excited to put that together, and I think it's going to be an awesome bit of of gameplay at Necromunda next year. So I'm looking forward to that, and I hope that everyone who had a chance to play gets to come out. I hope everyone who unfortunately couldn't make it out this year is able to next year. I'm hoping that COVID numbers are lower, so people will have less of an issue on that front, because goodness, it has been a rough almost 3 years now. So I am definitely hopeful that 2023 can be even better and take advantage of the new location to give the best kind of con and the best Necromunda experience that I can muster. One of the things that I do need is a few more volunteers to help run the event. I've spoken to a few folks who may be able to help out, and I definitely think that with a little bit of extra staffing, I could really take the event up a few notches. Because running it all myself, just what I was doing was sort of at the limit of my abilities, just because it's a lot to manage everything. And if something had happened with me, if I had gotten sick or something like that, then there wouldn't have been anyone to run the event. So it's important that we have a deeper bench for Necromunda next year. So if you are interested in potentially volunteering at Nova next year, whether it's for the con itself or whether it is with the Necromunda event specifically, just reach out at thedomerunners@gmail.com, and I will get back to you about that probably sometime in late September, because of course I am, still getting all of my ducks in a row after running that event, and all of the kind of stress and hair on fire of it. I haven't even sent out my surveys for folks to respond for next time. And of course, I want to do a podcast episode where I talk to them. So it's going to be, a little bit before I'm actually doing logistics for Nova 2022. But that does not mean that I am not already working on stuff. The interesting thing about running the two events that I ran at Nova is that while Necromunda is firmly in my comfort zone, I don't really struggle to, help with rules queries and all of that. The other event that I ran, the Inquisitor28 event, was completely by the seat of my pants. It was an experiment, and I was pretty upfront about it being an experiment. It was custom homebrew rule set that was based off of the Kill Team rules that kind of tweaked them a little bit, and I am really, really, really so thankful for the wonderful people who came out and played, because if it had been a different group, I think that game could have been, nowhere near as enjoyable. I am refining this system that I developed for these games, and I am going to be running something in that vein again next year, depending on my ability to get people to assist on that weekend. I will hopefully be running something a little bit bigger or longer than the event that we ran this past go around. So what in essence this event was built around was building your own warband that kind of suited you for delving into a mystery on board a Blackstone Fortress. And I combined a lot of elements of the Warhammer Quest games and the fantastic Kill Team 2021 rule set, and sort of merge them together into this sort of chimera of almost a sort of board game, war game hybrid. I will kind of be showing off some of the resources that I made for it. Eventually, all of this stuff, once I have gotten everything down into kind of a packaged new version, will be going up for everyone to explore and play with. But the idea behind this was to have players kind of in a situation where they were facing off against non-player character adversaries, and they had the opportunity to fight with each other, but they had to choose between the kind of tactical choice of fighting two enemies, or trying to look past one enemy and only focus on the main one. So I got a great response from people about it. Obviously, like I said, this was very much an experimental project and something that needs to be kind of refined a bit, but I am looking forward to various ways that I can do that. One of the things that I really want to try out is actually taking the sort of system from Silver Tower and the some of the missions in the most recent Warhammer Quest game, where you have a deck with different rooms in it and different adversaries that pop up, and you guys have to deal with them sort of as you go room by room. That's one of the ideas that I have. I'm hoping to, get this into a format where it's something that people who have a familiarity with Kill Team can sit down and play, but which is very much a distinct kind of feeling from just sitting down and play a game of Kill Team in that kind of adversarial versus matched play kind of format, something that feels distinctly different. One of the hard parts with developing this game is I wanted there to be an element of surprise to a lot of the reveals, so I couldn't necessarily, broadcast and publish everything that I was doing for it in advance. But now that I have actually run the event and people are interested in playing it again, and I kind of want to get feedback and refine things and get things to a point where it's ready to play at a larger bigger, more players kind of game. If we get to that point, I want to kind of develop things. So we'll see exactly how that goes, but I am really excited either way to be running this event and to have this kind of space to do something that I think that wouldn't have necessarily happened anywhere else other than at Nova under these circumstances. Because I had the Necromunda area, it was mine to do as I pleased with, and there was originally a Necromunda tournament on Friday, and I just had no desire to run a tournament of Necromunda, so I decided to swap it out for a different kind of narrative gaming. And I didn't use Necromunda as the rule set because I felt that Kill Team was a little more nimble for doing the games that had multiple people playing on the board, because I find that Necromunda kind of bogs down as you start to add third and fourth players. So I could not have been happier with how it actually ran, considering how kind of thrown together everything wound up being. I had hoped to kind of have an opportunity to refine things a little bit more, but I wound up doing a lot of the sort of the printing and cutting out of all these cards and sleeving and everything. Very last minute, they were, it was all getting done while the Necromunda event was running. So it was definitely a photo finish, and I'm so glad that everyone had a good time, and thanks to Pseudonym, my friend, for filling in and helping run some of the adversaries, because of course any kind of event like this, there are going to be no shows. People have stuff come up and they can't make the trip anymore and all of that, so it was really helpful to have you come out and to help out with that, so thanks again for that. And I don't know. Inquisitor 28 is an interesting kind of thing to play with, and going for next year, I think that there is a couple of different directions I could go in with it, but I am going to stick to the Blackstone Fortress stuff because I do have all of those tiles, and that is a huge element of kind of creating that cinematic feeling, is having a cool environment, and I think that the Blackstone Fortress tiles are something that I have in a large quantity. I don't know if anyone else has more Blackstone Fortress tiles than me out there printed from Dragon's Rest. It's possible that there are other people who are as weird as me, that they would print significantly more tiles than you need to actually play the game. But if there is someone out there who has more Blackstone Fortress tiles to me, then I tip my hat to you, because let me tell you, that was it was a lot of time and energy spent 3D printing all that stuff over the course of the last 2.5 years, really, that went into it. So I wasn't printing it all the time, of course. It's just been a back burner project, but it is something that I put a lot of time into, and I think that as long as I've got that resource, I'm going to continue to use it, because there just is nothing else quite like it. So I am going to be running that for sure. And then there is the other matter, which is the I think I can demonstrate. I am in the process of 3D printing a great deal of 54 millimeter terrain to run Inquisitor 54, which, if those of you who don't know, Inquisitor originally came out as a 54 millimeter game. Played with these significantly larger models than the sort of 28 millimeter models that we usually play with, just the size comparison. I have all of this 3D printing stuff, and I have a event that I could be prepping terrain for. So one of the things that I have decided is that I really want to have a Inquisitor 54 terrain set for Nova so that we have the opportunity to run Inquisitor 54 there. I do not know if Inquisitor 54 is going to fit into the schedule of Nova 2023. That is going to depend on staffing. So I can't guarantee you that this terrain will be used for the next time that Nova runs. We will find more information out about that over the next coming months. But what I do know and can tell you is that I am working towards the eventuality of adding a component of 54 millimeter Inquisitor somewhere in the mix for the Nova Open. I'm not 100% sure, but I think it might be, when I'm done, it might be the only con that has a 54 millimeter Inquisitor board. Like I said, I haven't done any digging around to find out if anyone else is currently in possession of one. Any other event organizers are currently in possession of a 54 millimeter Inquisitor board. But if they are, then that is extremely awesome. And if not, then I'm hoping to be the first, or at least the only current one, if that is the case. So I am, it's a big undertaking, and the terrain is definitely, it's something that I as I kind of print it and look at it, I'm just like, this is so spectacular and like awe-inspiring to see it rendered in this scale. I am, I just can't wait to see what the finished product looks like. It's going to be a fun opportunity to try out a lot of stuff. I really want to try adding things like automated smoke effects from some of the vents and pipes and such. I want to add, a sound element, a sound generating element, so that I can run a soundboard and run it to a Bluetooth device that's embedded in some of the terrain, so we can have, kind of that fully cinematic experience. So that is something I am working toward for Nova 23. It is, we'll see if it's ready by then, if there's space to run it at the event. If not, I'm quite sure that by Nova 2024, I'm going to be antsy to actually get all of this junk used in a battle. So, look forward to that. And of course, as I develop it, I'm going to be showing off elements of it on, this channel, which I'm going to be trying to do updates more often and videos more often. This summer was rough because my kids are home and we don't have, any, kind of budget for camps and stuff like that. So it was just a lot of direct childcare. And it's really hard to like get the motivation up to make regular video content when you're just exhausted from taking care of children. It's like, well, I could either paint the terrain and stuff that I'm doing for Nova, or I can make a video, which is, it's fun. And I think that I really get a lot out of the feedback I get from people, and it's a lot of fun to do. But when, you're talking about an event that you're committed to run, you really have to prioritize getting ready for the event. So I have been focusing mostly on hobby stuff this summer, and less so on video making. And so this fall, my goal is to redouble my focus on the video content, because I think there's a lot of cool stuff that I can show you guys that I haven't even gotten into yet, because there's just so much. I mean, I don't think I've even done like a full tour of all of my, my models that are just sitting on the shelves and the backdrops of all my videos, let alone all of the crazy projects that I'm working on at any given time. So I look forward to, kind of showing you guys as I kind of delve into this new stuff for Inquisitor. So with that, we're going to move on to talking about the con as a whole. Nova is, of course, a lot larger than just the one Necromunda event that I ran, but it is a con that stretched across 2 different hotels and included a really large Warhammer 40k GT, a large 40k narrative event, a big Blood Bowl event. There was Marvel Crisis Protocol, Infinity, Lord of the Rings, even Dreadfleet. I mean, there was so much going on, and there really isn't anything else like it in the, sort of East Coast, Mid-Atlantic region. And I think people, don't necessarily think about how kind of cool it is to, go to a convention and get to see all of this awesome stuff. As sort of one of the people who engages with it online, you don't necessarily have an idea of what the kind of spectacle of it is, and you get to see all the painting competition entrants and all that stuff. And overall, I just was really happy with how the con came together, and everyone was absolutely wonderful and they worked so hard. And I am enormously proud of the fact that we were able to pull it off. I'm a small part of it. There's a lot more than just me kind of working on it. There are awesome vendors who show up and sell their stuff. And next year, there should be even more because we are, as I mentioned earlier, moving to a significantly larger hotel that will have lots of space for all of the stuff that was kind of limited just by how big the con has gotten. As the con has taken over more and more of the hotel and then moved into a second hotel, and, the presence of Games Workshop selling Forge World and all of that kind of stuff, it really started to feel packed, and it was definitely time to make a move. So I'm very excited to kind of see what the con looks like going forward. I wanted to take a second to really shout out the incredible work that the Lord of the Rings team did for the tables for their event. I put a lot of effort into my tables, and some of theirs just absolutely blew me away. I am really happy to be participating in a con that takes appearance so seriously and really wants to kind of create these immersive environments, because I think that there is a sort of association with cons having, not the best kind of terrain, and I think that that's fair because a lot of cons are trying to make it work on, fairly small budget, so they tend to lean on making as much terrain as quickly as possible rather than kind of getting the incredible visceral detail that you get for these events. I just am, I'm blown away by it. And even, honestly, even the 40K events have incredible terrain. The terrain quality for the narrative is unmatched, and the terrain quality for the GT, with GW helping out with a lot of that, was also awesome. So everybody did such a great job, and I wanted to give everyone a chance to kind of see all of it because it is just so cool. Another one of my favorite parts about the con is that there is a guy who sells all kinds of old GW kits. He's just got tons and tons of them, and I actually bought an Inquisitor model and this Scav model that I am showing here. Oh, and I would be remiss not to mention that there was a Kill Team laser tag event at Nova, and it was just such a fun and goofy thing to give us the opportunity to do. I could not sing its praises louder. Absolutely 10 out of 10. Oh, and the Age of Sigmar terrain also really hit it out of the park. Nova just has incredible terrain, and I'm so proud to be one of the people who is helping make that happen. So here is some of that as well. One of the fun things about the con is that every year there is a cantina, which is an opportunity for everyone to kind of kick back and relax and meet other people and play drinking games and do all of that silly stuff. And it is all to benefit charity. In fact, the con is in large part, sort of a charitable endeavor. It is technically a private entity that is run in conjunction with the charity, but the real point of the con is to put these events on and to give everyone this cool experience and give back in the process. Another of the fun events or aspects of the con itself is that you wind up with a lot of live stream events where, the sort of gameplay is being broadcast over the internet. It's something that I would love to do for Necromunda in the future, but I need to, build my streaming setup for myself first before I can try to deploy it at a convention. But that is something that is on my to-do list for the rest of this year, is to put together a better filming and streaming setup. And from there, we will hopefully be able to broadcast Necromunda games from Nova in the future. And this is, of course, the big show, the thing that really drives all of the 40K kind of stuff. We have the 40K GT area. Of course, there's Blood Bowl in this little antechamber right here. But as you go past it, you go into the 40K narrative and 40K GT space. And let me tell you, they really, the narrative has had great terrain for as long as I can remember. And a lot of it belongs to one person who has done just an enormous amount of effort to make fantastic terrain. And then in the sort of GT area, you have a ton of the Warhammer 40K official terrain that was provided by Games Workshop, and fantastic mats and such, and the streaming setup that Warhammer TV brought with them. And that's about it. That is pretty much everything I got from the con. It was a wonderful experience. I can't wait to do it again. And thanks so much to my patrons who helped make this show possible. And don't forget to check that show out on Patreon. You can become a supporter for as little as $2 a month. And of course, don't forget to check the podcast out. I have a new episode out that came out this morning, actually. And don't forget to stay safe and change your paint water, everybody.